Happy July 4th from Owl Op-Eds, or Old White Ladies' Opinions and Editorials. First, the opinion part. Cannot resist given this is the July 4th holiday week. The Supreme Court, as of late, has had a little problem with the tenet of our nation that says liberty and justice for all. That is to say, affirmative action as a way of letting people into colleges has been ruled unconstitutional because it's been around too long. We won't talk about that maybe racism has been around too long, but that was the ruling. Legacy admissions are fine, of course, and if you look back on legacy, what would those people look like? But that's not being challenged. Although some people are bringing that up now that the court has made this ruling. I would think, and I'm sure the Harvard University and the big universities would have thought of this, but if you can't use race as a method of weighing in admissions, use zip codes. Nothing tells you about a person's life better than their zip code. In fact, it's the best indicator as to whether or not you'll succeed. And why is that? It's because if housing is worth a lot, then the taxes are relatively high, and then schools get more money, and then your education as a child is simply better. Because how schools are funded matters. All right, so in the light of all this, how do you celebrate July 4th when the main tenet of our country is supposed to be liberty and justice for all? It's all right. What you do is you calm down by taking a motorcycle ride. For example, riding under these trees is a fantastic mood changer. I think that the GoPro gives it a little fisheye look, so they look huge, like as big as California redwoods. They're not that big, but they're still very beautiful. As weather patterns change and become scarier, we are in a fog due to the Canadian wildfires. I've come actually to really appreciate tree-canvassed roads, something I've seen get knocked down in this area recently. But it's still a very beautiful part of the state. It's trapped in an earlier time, which I really love about it. It's also an odd area. We used to call houses as huge as this McMansions back in the 1980s. I'm not sure what you call them now. Maybe you call them normal. Huge is normal, like homelessness. This town is beginning to remind me of Dover, a Massachusetts super wealthy town interlaced with farms. They're both great for biking, though the cars go too fast. And what's the hurry? Look around. Or, as I like to say to people, try two wheels. I've bicycled here for years and know the beauty here by those hundreds of trips I've taken. As I've aged, though, and as my riding buddies live in different areas, and all of it's changed, the biking, I'm afraid, is far less frequent. So when a woman is pedaling with her pannier on the side and her wicker basket, I get that. She's working for those inches with her legs. We can slow down on our gas-powered engines and wait for her to pass, using her own strength, rather than speeding up and cutting in front of her to make the right we need to take. So we slow down, for a beat. It's just a beat, and let her pass. No impatient thoughts, no horns. Two wheels can be a meditation conduit to patience. The second big one, of course, is that the kids will not be getting loan forgiveness. Somehow it's okay for the feds to tax me, give my money to the banks, have those banks lend that money back to my kid so that they can go to college at extraordinary interest rates. And if my kid or anyone else defaults on those loans, then I get to pay it out of my tax dollars. In other words, zero risk for the bank and guaranteed money for them. But that piece of it is constitutional. Forgiving the loans, somehow, is not. And now we have to talk about the last ruling, and then I swear we'll talk about motorcycles. This particular let them eat cake or not eat cake is a fun one because the entire episode was fake. There was no complaint regarding a wedding cake, but the Supreme Court ruled on it anyway, saying that hatred as a rationale to deny services, so long as justified by religious belief, is constitutional. So you can use tax dollars as an infrastructure to promote your business, but not everyone who pays taxes has the right to your services, so long as you object to them on religious grounds. Did you know that the very first group that the Nazis went after were homosexuals? Just saying. This is Bristol, Rhode Island. I have been in this town far more on 2 wheels than on 4. We used to come up regularly on our bikes at a place called the Beehive that uses food from the farms all around, so the menu is seasonal. We drive past those farms, and I'm sure what we saw on those farmlands was the same food that would be found on our plate here at the Beehive. Great food and seating, but you have to be early. The crowds pile in fast. By motorcycle, the feel is a little different, the shadows a little harsher, the day later. But this isn't an arbitrary ride. We have tickets in our pockets, a destination, a place to be, albeit the most relaxed arrival time of any sporting event I've ever gone to. This is where the Bristol Parade takes place, and according to Wikipedia, it's nationally known and was started in 1785. This is the line that'll be part of the parade that will take place on July 4th. The one and only time we saw this parade is when we took a bike path to see it. It was a brilliant move, as the bikes required no parking, and we rode away from the traffic and picked up our car many miles from the main town exits. That was a fun day. This is the Hope Bridge. It's southeastern Massachusetts to Rhode Island, and then the bridge takes you over to Newport in Portsmouth. Portsmouth is where we're headed. Years ago, I did a 4-bridge bike ride on this very bridge, but the teeth, like expansion joints on these bridges, were terrifying. I saw a poor fellow's tire get caught in one, and his fall was pretty substantial. They put down rugs to help so that the wheels wouldn't get caught in the teeth of the stanchions, but there were just too many of us, and the fellow couldn't avoid them, and he just got his bike caught and went over. As I ride here, I'm grateful for my fat motorcycle tires. We are headed to, drumroll please, Polo. That's right, polo. As best I can tell, it's field hockey on horses. This is called the International Polo Series. The fellow announcing sounded, unsurprisingly, British. The crowds were pretty substantial, though. The polo match starts at 5 p.m., but you can arrive much earlier. We got there about 3:30, but the crowds were already there. We pull off our boots and our motorcycle dungarees. We didn't exactly have the, quote, Newport look, which is the suggested attire, but we didn't look like we were part of a Hell's Angel gang either. There was a lovely woman selling wine, like cigars, cigarette, scene in an ancient gambling movie, only done from a golf cart. Women, in lovely flowing hats and dresses, ran up with delight to get their wine glasses. It was like a child's happiness when they see the ice cream truck coming and run away delighted with their chocolate-covered bar. Only the women scurry off delighted with their wine and glass. The people at the vending trucks were lovely, but there weren't a ton of choices. I think this is really designed for the wealthy and maybe those pretending to be such, to sort of spend a day of yore, that is to say, an old-fashioned Saturday picnic, with friends and their own food and their own alcohol. The venue seems to be okay with that. They're not trying to get you to spend a fortune. Alcohol from the site is available too, but it seemed more of a convenience for the visitors. And I think they just want to spend the day. It's ironically very cheap, $20. Way less expensive than a working man's football game for sure, and frankly, under much cozier skies. I don't understand the game. It's obvious it's about putting a ball between the posts, but who knows what is legal and illegal out there in the field. It didn't seem to be overly aggressive, and so I wasn't overly terrified that someone might fall and hurt themselves. Although someone did fall and hurt themselves, but only lightly. It seemed like they were just holding their elbow with some intensity. This is also a co-ed game. Visitors, and I'll call us visitors more than fans, pass baseballs, throw gentle frisbees, albeit all very respectfully, on the field as they wait for the game to start, and they do it between halves. It has a casual and pleasant feel. There didn't seem to be any crazy investment in the outcome, with fans screaming and yelling at the referees. The crowd seemed politely interested as they ate pizza from the trucks or cheese from their baskets. They applauded at great efforts and then went back to their drinks and appetizers. We left at the end of the polo game, but before the consolation game. Interestingly, few joined us on the early exit, so they must come for the social interaction. It was a nice mix of elegance and leisure, a very different vibe from other sports I've been to for sure. Getting dressed to go home, we were visited by a drone. The fog you see is from the Canadian wildfires burning and impacting our area. Then we went home, the entrance to the polo field better suited for horse-driven wagons than for cars and motorcycles. I liked that. Then we went back over the Hope Bridge, where you can really see the impact of the wildfires. And how it disperses the light from the blotted out sun. We went back through Bristol, bumped into a wedding. Heard the Bristol Summer Concert taking place at the Quad by the ocean.
Is there a concert?
According to the web, the band bringing in this massive crowd was called Back in the Day. Like bicycling, we go places we'd never go in a car, ironically because it's just too far in a car. A car is something you use to get there. Two Wheels is about the journey. So though I used to travel for Sunday breakfasts here, I would never come here by a car. Motorcycling is the same. I'd never toss a Saturday aside that I could use cleaning the house or catching up on the bills to drive way out to Rhode Island to see some polo thing that I might hate. But motorcycling kinda keeps you more open to new experiences. Enjoy the ride and try it. If you didn't like it, you had a great ride. I want to thank hubby for his wonderful photographs of the event, and I'm sure you too enjoyed them. Happy July 4th to you all.